time is just flying. It always does. Time is flying by on us, and I've got some specific things I really want to drill down from the book. But you've mentioned depression a couple of times, and you're very open about your struggles with depression in this book, and I know that that's fairly common among writers. So why do you think that is, and what strategies do you recommend for writers who may be dealing with depression?
Well, I think part of it is just physiological. I think, it's just who you are. And I take medication and that helps a lot. So, it's something that is out of whack with your body. I think in most cases, I also think that, this is my own personal theory, that writers and artists, people who are creative people, they don't fit in the world very well, that they constantly find themselves outside of things and they don't get things, or, like Kurt Vonnegut said once, writers are people who keep asking the same sophomoric questions that most people quit asking when they're, in high school. And you're just saying, why, what if? And so I think, you're always at odds in a way with, I don't want to say normal people, but people who don't have the kind of stuff going on in our minds. Like, we're living different, we're in different worlds at one time. We're in the real world, we're in the world of books. And the older I get, the more books I have going. So I'm thinking of all these different worlds. And so, it's like we're here, but we're not here. And there's that sense of detachment. Many writers will say, they have the feeling that they're standing outside, that they're watching, that they're observing, and that, we often notice things that other people don't notice that are, sad or unsettling. And so I think that, that contributes to a kind of darkness that is within us. It's the thing that I believe probably sends a lot of people to alcohol and drugs to escape it. For me, writing is an escape. I mean, I feel like when I'm writing, I'm not in the world. I'm in this other place that I understand because it's mine. And I can't always make it do what I want, but I know it's mine. And when I'm there, I'm not thinking about politics. I'm not thinking about, whatever problems might be in my family or among my friends or whatever. I'm just in this place and it is pure escape. Hours will go by and I don't know it. I look up and it's 5 hours and I'm starving. And so for me, depression and process go together. That I know, I have learned over the years that it not only alleviates depression if I'm depressed, but it also keeps it from coming. Or if it comes, it's not as much. And I know that I can work through it. And the other thing that's been very helpful to me too is, that once I accepted that was part of who I was, then I began to understand that it was cycles. Because when you're in the middle of a bad depression, I was thinking of it as the dark treadmill, that, that's all there is. And you can't, nothing's funny, nothing, it's just awful. And you think it will never change. You can't believe that it will change. But as time goes by, you begin, when you get in the throes of it, you remember, it's going to go away. It's going to go away. And you can make it go away faster by doing something, by moving. Because you tend, when you're depressed, you just want to give it up and sleep. You're tired all the time. And you have to force yourself to get up and get out and do what you need to do. So, I mean, that's what I always advise to people. And I also say, why not try medication? It really works for a lot of people. And if you had a blood pressure issue and you knew that if you didn't take that, medicine, you were going to blow up, well, why would you not take it for something else too? People are not like they used to be, but people resist it. They're ashamed of it. They think it's some sort of a flaw that you need that, but it's not. It's just, it's part of who you are. And, you will be a better writer if you can keep it under some kind of control. It's not fun, not happy, but there it is.
It is very strange the way we look at that. There's nothing else like that. Like, I would never think, oh, I've cut my finger. If only I were a stronger person, I wouldn't need a Band-Aid right now.
Exactly. You would never think that. And when you look at it like that, it seems so absurd not to give it a try. and just see what it does. And if it helps you, don't feel bad. Feel happy because it makes you more able to get your work done and be the person that you want to be with your, family and friends and whatever. So yeah, it's part of the deal for a lot of people. I know a lot of writers who have who suffer from depression from time to time.
Yeah, that's something else that I'd put in the workshop. I always recommend that, one, see a professional who's not a podcaster who knows something about this, but two, maybe invest in a sad light. Especially if you're January in Indiana, get your sad light pointed at you while you're at your desk.
Well,
get some vitamin D.
Yep, and therapy. What I discovered about therapy that I love so much is if you can cross the line in therapy from feeling like, oh, there's something so wrong with me, I need therapy, right? Oh, that's just awful, to thinking, God, it is so interesting how I got to be the person I am, to start to match up these things about your childhood that set you up to believe certain things or to do certain things. And when you get curious about yourself, it really helps your depression too. And it helps you see, like, when things are bad, you think, I always do that. Why do I do that? And then you go back and you think, I know why I do that because my mother did this or that, and it's not a question of blaming. It's just a question of recognizing, why you do what you do. And then you become fascinated by it rather than afraid of it or trying to suppress it or deny it. And that was what it did for me. Therapy did for me. I think it's really fascinating. I would do it for entertainment if I could afford it. I really would. How weird is that?
Well, that's one nice thing about writing horror stories is that I can put all that darkness that's inside me that would eat me alive on the page. So you deal with it, esteemed reader. I'm done with it.
That's right. That Stephen King talks about that. The closet when he was a child, and I do think that writing serves that purpose. That the things that haunt you and trouble you, when you bring them up and you use them in a story, they're not in you to the degree that they were before. They can't hurt you like they hurt you. Like, when you come smack up against something, somehow it's not as scary as you thought it was. And you can sort of put that thing away. So I think writing is a kind of therapy. I think research shows that it's a healing process for a lot of people. It's absolutely fascinating what it does when you bring that stuff up and then you put it on the page. It's not gone, but it's different. It feels different. We've done, interesting projects at the Writers Center. We did a memoir project with homeless women, with women who were victims of domestic abuse. We did a project, actually, my book that I spoke of earlier about Grace grew out of this project that we did with girls that were incarcerated, for various kinds of things in a correctional facility. And they write about their lives and they have these amazing insights and they cry, which is good. And they learn to trust one another when they're in this little community of writers. And I think writing is very good at helping to bring insight to things that you're not going to get it just thinking. Something happens in your brain. It's kind of amazing. I love that.
Well, that's another nice anecdote to the question of what if you write your whole life and you don't become James Patterson famous and rich? Is the act itself has meaning because it improves my life. I'm better for having written my novels, even if no one else is.
That's exactly right. And, and every now and then I'll talk to someone or get an email from someone and they've read something and it's really had a profound effect on them for some reason. And that's very satisfying. It really is. It makes me feel good. It's sort of in a weird way, like teaching by book or something, because I love teaching so much. And I think books teach us. I think that reading fiction makes us better. I think that, the thing that you get from reading good fiction is the introduction to somebody else's head other than your own. And so when you're reading fiction, and if you read a lot of fiction, you begin to realize that there are so many ways looking at things, that, you know, a character you really like may have a completely different take on something that you've never thought about before. And so, you know, and then you also realize that, you know, none of us puts forth the person in the world that we hope that we are inside of ourselves. You know, our ideal self is very hard to present to the world. It's dangerous, it's whatever. And so we generally don't do it. And so we're dealing with people who are not presenting or able to present their best self. So what happens is, if you don't understand that all kinds of things are happening inside somebody's head, then you just take that at face value. And it never occurs to you to think, well, you know, maybe he's saying that because he's nervous. But, you know, when you're reading fiction, you get that interior thing where you know that the person, you can see the gap between what the person feels in the story and how he behaves, and how his behavior confuses the issue, you know, for the people who are experiencing, you know what I mean? And so then you're maybe more likely, when you're with other people, to think about that, to think, well, you know, why is he acting that way around this person or that person, or did he really mean that? And then, you know, you're more able to be compassionate. And I think there's been some research on that too, that shows that readers of fiction are more compassionate, are more willing to, you know, kind of give people a second chance, or to think about their reactions. And I think that's a good thing. I wish we had to read more fiction in school. I wish people read more good fiction. I think it would change them.
Well, you won't hear an argument from me on that.
I did.
I'm 100% pro reading.